I accidentally let my printer run out of ink. It won't print a dang, damn, stinking bit. So let's try to fix it. Stick around. Hey everybody and welcome. My name's Roy and my printer is broke, done for, busted, kaput. So that's not exactly accurate. My printer's working just fine. It's the ink that's not working. So we need to try to fix that. Now I'll tell you what I've already done. Let me back up a little bit. I don't have a chip resetter and I don't monitor my ink levels through the printer or the computer. I basically just go every 30 or 40 prints and pull a cartridge out, look, see if it's got enough ink in it. When it gets down to about a quarter, I'll pull them all out, refill them, and put them back in. And that's worked for me all up until now and one other time. So, backstory, I knew that my ink was getting a little bit low, but I had to go out of town, went out of town for a week. While I was out of town, while I was out of town, I caught COVID. I came back, I isolated for about a week, and as I was starting to feel better, I began working on designs, and I started printing a few images out here and another image out there, and I completely forgot that I was low on ink. So one of the prints comes, starts out fine, halfway through it completely runs out of magenta. By the end of the print, my magenta is gone. So I pull all of the cartridges out, I completely refill them, I put them back in, and I run a nozzle check, and it wasn't working well. So I did a full page of magenta, and that ain't magenta. So the first thing I need to do is make sure that the ink is running through the cartridge. Now this is an old cartridge. Side note, I did have this happen once before and I couldn't get the ink to flow through the cartridge, so I just went and bought a new cartridge. But this time I was bound and determined, so this is that old cartridge. But what I've already done, I don't know if you can tell, but there is a chamber that runs at the bottom of this that the ink goes through before it comes out of this hole to go to the print head. And when you're first filling a cartridge, sometimes it doesn't go into that chamber. And if you run out of ink, oftentimes that chamber gets empty and you gotta reprime the cartridge. The way to do that is to take a syringe and put it into the cartridge. Now, the cartridge would be full. I'm just using this as an example, but the cartridge would be full. And what you wanna do is very carefully start pulling down, and you'll pull that ink through the bottom chamber and out of the cartridge, not unlike what's happening right now. And once you've done that, your cartridge is primed. So I did that and I printed out another nozzle check, and I think it was a little bit worse. I printed out one more full page of magenta with a different file just to make sure, and of course there's no magenta there either. So I did one print head cleaning. I don't like doing them. I don't recommend doing them. Do them very sparingly because they will ultimately end up filling up the maintenance tank, and that's a whole nother issue. So I did another print head cleaning and it still didn't work. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to flush out the print head. And the way to do that is to get some supplies. What you want is glass cleaner, Windex, any glass cleaner will do. You just don't want it to have, you want it to be the basic blue without ammonia or any different things, just basic glass cleaner. And then you want to get the 70% isopropyl rubbing alcohol. That's the technical term, isopropyl rubbing alcohol. And you will mix them 8 parts glass cleaner to 2 parts of isopropyl alcohol. That's what I have done here. So I've got this little mixture, and I went and bought this 25-foot, which I need about 8 inches of, standard airline tubing. It is 7.62 meters. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little bit of this out. Maybe I'll have to get an aquarium for the rest of it.
Just keep swimming.
We're gonna cut a piece of that. And then I'm gonna clean this cartridge out, and let me go ahead and do that. And we will take this and just put it in there. I've gotta clean this out first. Then we'll suck some of this cleaner out, and we're gonna go flush the print heads and see if we can get it I don't know if prime's the right word, but I'm going to use it, see if we can get it primed. So let's go to the printer, do one more nozzle check, cross our fingers, and if that doesn't work, which I'm sure it won't, we are going to try this. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is print a nozzle check. So on the 7710, the way to do that is to scroll over to Settings, and then Maintenance, and then Print Head Nozzle Check. It's loaded with paper, so we're going to hit Print. And we're printing it out. So, as you can see, that's not very good. There's hardly no of the magenta. So, I'm going to hit OK because I don't want to do a print head cleaning right now. And what we will do now is release the print head carriage. And in order to do that, I'm going to start printing something. I'll actually start printing my magenta test page. And once that starts printing, I'm going to unplug the printer, and that should loosen that carriage up. I'm actually going to let it print a little bit of this just to show you that magenta is not printing at all. Here we go. When it starts to get out a little bit, I'll turn it off. I've seen a couple of videos where people manually pull the print head carriage. Most of them I've seen, they turn the printer off while it's printing. So that's the route we're going to take. We'll see if it works. All right, now, while it's printing, I'm going to lean over and unplug it. And I hate doing that. Now we should, well, the print didn't come out, but we should be able to open this up and see that that certainly wasn't printing magenta. So this is now easy to move, which is good. I'm going to move it over here. We're going to pull this out. Actually, you know what? I'll just leave. Oh, no, I'm going to pull it out. I don't like pulling it out, but I'm going to. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this ink out first. And I don't know if you can see, but there are the 4 things right here that go to the actual print head. So before I try to clean this out, I'm going to take this little carriage cover off so it will not get in the way as I slide this over a little bit. Now, before I slide it all the way over, I'm going to take me some paper towel, and I'm going to set that paper towel down, and then I'm going to bring this over that paper towel. And make sure you can see that paper towel is coming through there. Okay, and then we are going to try and flush out the magenta. Okay, here's my solution and my syringe, and I'm going to set that down on top of the little hole, and then I'm going to slowly push this liquid down in there. And it's not wanting to go, but I'm going to give it a little push. It's actually coming out. Move this down a little bit, see if some of it's coming out. So here's the deal. It's not coming out. That hole is not quite tight enough for
to get most of that ink, most of that liquid out of there. I don't want to get that built up, but it didn't go through. So I'm going to try it one more time. If not, I might have to get a smaller hole, a smaller. Okay, it looks, no, it's not wanting to cut through there. What's happening is it pushing in, it's pushing down a little bit, but it's not, when I go and let go of this, it kind of comes out. Let's see. Yeah, I did get some. Okay, I did get some. So let's try it again. I'm really pushing this this tube down pretty hard in order to. Okay, so I got a little bit more. Move the carriage down a little bit more. Let's try it again. Move the carriage down a little bit more. Do it again. A little bit more. And a little bit more. Okay, so this may have worked. I do have a lot of liquid in that carriage, and so I feel like I need to get that out. But if you look, a lot of that looks like that magenta may have released, hopefully. So we'll see in a minute. Move this back a little bit, and then I'm going to clean that that little area out with the liquid. You know, I have no idea if this will work. The good news is my wife has given me permission to buy an Epson 170, an F170, although I won't be able to do any of those neat whoop-ass 30-ounce tumblers that I just adjusted the file size for. Okay, so it looks like the liquid is now, for the most part, out of there. Okay, still liquid in there. Gloves might have helped. But it looks like there's no standing liquid in there now. So what we're going to do, we're going to put all this back. Let's move this over. Okay, let's try to put this back together. The first thing I need to do is try to put the carriage cover back on. Hopefully it'll snap into place without breaking anything. Perfect. Then I can come in here and put the cartridges back in. You know they're in when they click. I do use Cosmos ink and absolutely love them, highly recommend them. The colors are vibrant, the customer service is amazing. So if you're interested in Cosmos, I do have a link in the description, and again, I highly recommend them. Let's close it up and plug it back in. All right, let me try to plug this thing back in. I have to kind of shift this thing over a little bit, reach my head back in here. Is that it? Yep, that's it. And let's try to straighten it back up a little. And Epson, that's a good thing. It's just coming on. A little print head carriage assembly is probably saying, yo, what happened? Let me get myself back together. That's what I'm hoping it says. Now, my Wi-Fi is Spectrum. So if you know anything about that, you know it's not the best. However, I'm sure it will reconnect, but it probably will take a few minutes. That said, I'm not as worried about it connecting to Wi-Fi yet because I want to do another test print. As far as I'm concerned, it can take all the time it wants. The print head may require maintenance. It is recommended to perform a print head nozzle check before printing. Okay, so let's go back to settings and maintenance and print head nozzle check, and then let's cross our fingers and see what happens. At least it's printing. So I guess that carriage head. Okay, so good news it printed. Bad news is there's now 0 magenta. So I am going to hit no, and I hate doing a head cleaning, but based on what we just did, I am going to do a head cleaning. While it's cleaning, I will show you, this is the partial print that we did for magenta. It's obviously not magenta at all. Hopefully I can get this thing fixed and show you what that should have looked like. So it's my understanding that doing too many head cleanings will fill up the maintenance tank. And I believe that printers will stop printing once the maintenance tank is full. However, it's also my understanding that you can buy a maintenance tank for a few bucks, maybe $8 or $10 on Amazon. So if my tank ever fills up, we'll certainly do that. Print heading cleaning complete, print a nozzle check. Let's print it. Load the paper. Let's go. Cross our fingers. Look at that. Can you believe it? Oh my goodness. Perfectly fit. I'm kind of excited. I'm extremely excited. This is exactly what we were looking for. Okay, while I was printing the test page, which looks like it's printing out quite well, I had this happen, and this happens, I don't know, every once in a blue moon. I am not out of any ink because I refilled everything. I don't reset mine, which I probably wouldn't have this problem if I did. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm canceling the print, and it looks like at least some magenta. I'm not sure if that's anyway. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click OK, and it says lift scanner unit and replace the ink cartridge. So I'm going to lift the scanner. I'm going to let it slide down and back. And then I think you can see it in the corner. I am going to open this up. I'm going to pull out my cyan and then just put it right back in. Close it up. Close the top, and notice how it's an X right now. It was an X. But when it should now have an exclamation mark beside it once it reads that cartridge. And that's basically saying, hey, wait a minute, this isn't an Epson cartridge, but I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to click Proceed. Continue using this ink. Yes. Replacement's now complete. So it should be back to normal. So I will reprint this test print and see if we can get everything working right. So here's the deal. That is not as magenta as I think it should be, but there is certainly magenta in there, and when I printed that out before, it was blue. So I'm probably going to need to do a full print on something that I know has magenta in it to make sure it's working correctly. Yeah, so it's got some magenta in it, but not nearly as much as I think it should have. Now, I've yet to print this out. I didn't print it out before my magenta stopped working, so I'm not sure how accurate this is. I need to do another print, a regular print on a design that I know has magenta in it and know what it looks like. We'll try that and see what happens. I am printing out an image that I know has magenta in it, and I actually printed this same image out before I lost the magenta, so we can compare the two. But from what I can see right now, it looks perfect. Looks identical. Yep, I think that looks just like the other one. So let's go back to the table and compare.
I'm very excited. I was a little nervous about that because I don't have the time to go buy a new printer. This ended up being the right color. I thought it would be a little bit more magenta-y, but it's not. Anyway, this is an image that I printed out before I had the problem. It was actually a day or two before I ran out of magenta. And this is the image that I just printed now that we fixed it. So, no difference. It's perfect. It works. I'm happy. So remember, the first thing that you want to do if you've got a cartridge is make sure that the ink's flowing through the cartridge. And if that's not working, then you can go and do what I did, and hopefully that will work for you. You do want to be really careful that you don't put too much liquid in there and get it all over the place. And I'll tell you another thing you can do. If something happens and you try to squirt that ink, or excuse me, if you try to squirt that solution in and it won't go through, you can clip off another small piece of the tubing and just set it on top of the entrance into the print head and get a little bit of solution in that tube and let it sit overnight. And it will probably work its way through. So if you ever have an issue with a print head and you've done nozzle checks and you've done print head cleanings and nothing's happened, this is a way to attempt to get the ink flowing through the print head. So if this happens to you, I'm sorry, and I wish you much luck in trying to fix it. And if you go this route, I hope it works for you. If you haven't joined the Facebook group, you really need to join. It's a small but mighty group. There's some really smart folks in there. It's all about learning and it's all about teaching. So come join the group, help others out, learn from others. I do ask one favor: answer the questions and agree to the group rules. You got to do that. So easy peasy. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Click that little notification bell. Make sure you've subscribed and all that good stuff. We have more great videos coming out soon, but that about wraps it up for today. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Accidentally. Is it kaput or kaput? Let's, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks so much for watching. Please give it a thumbs up. Thanks so much. Please give it a thumbs up. Thanks so much. Please give it a thumbs up. And then we'll see what, and then I pulled all the ink cartridges out, 8 parts. I don't have a chip resetter. This is a jam for all the fellas trying to do what those ladies tell us. Get shot down because you're overzealous. Play hard to get females, get jealous.